Meanwhile, cryptocurrencies continue their rise after their total market cap pushed past $2 trillion. The price of Bitcoin is hovering around the $58,000 mark. Ethereum is up over 180% year to date. Joining us now to discuss this a bit further is Antoni Trenchev, Nexo co-founder and MD. Antoni, you saying in your notes there's a fork in the road for Bitcoin. So do you think the next 25% is going to be to the upside or the downside?
Well, it really depends on the price action that we see by the mid of April. We are either going to 75,000 and we can pierce through 60K by the mid-month. I'm afraid we're going to see a pullback towards $45,000 per Bitcoin. But, keeping the bigger picture in front of us, this has nothing to say about the long-term bullish trend in Bitcoin, which remains intact.
Good morning to you, Antoni. Great to have you back on the show. What does it take to get us up? Let's go to the bull side. What does it take to get us up 25%, 75,000? What is it that takes us there?
Well, on a per technical level, a pierce through 60 will foster more buying. And good news, we have had plenty of that in the past months. More people and companies coming into the space, especially on the institutional side. I personally think that by the end of the year, we're going to see at least 5 to 10% of the S&P companies following Elon Musk's lead and taking some of their treasuries as a protective hedge against the inflationary pressures and the expansive money policies of the central banks. Take his lead and invest some in Bitcoin, which will result in even more net buying, which would always be positive.
One thing Mike Novogratz said, though, is that he doesn't see the use of Bitcoin to be actually for purchasing power. He said you can't buy a Diet Coke or sunglasses on it. What do you see in terms of the adoption of the actual use in everyday life of Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin is far too valuable for you to depart so easily as to buy your Starbucks coffee with it. That's why we have, companies like ours, Nexo, which we have dedicated efforts to cater around the needs of the clients and give you the means to maintain and hold on to your crypto, and at the same time, do what Wall Street and Silicon Valley has been doing for the past 30 years, essentially borrowing against your assets and spend the proceeds of the loan, keep the crypto at the same time, and it's as efficient as swiping your MasterCard.
Well, let's hope that the banks disclose who they're leveraged up against and who they're lending to and to what extent against. Bitcoin, art, collectibles, and IP. Mike Novogratz saying these are the alphas of the next move in Bitcoin across the blockchain. How important are collectibles, art, and IP to the next generation and evolution of the blockchain?
Well, I don't necessarily love to disagree with Mike Novogratz. He's a legend, as large as they come. But quite frankly, at these elevated levels that we saw with non-fungible tokens, NFTs, I simply don't get it. I don't get it how they get valued. And, if there's anything akin to a bubble within crypto, I would argue it's within the NFT space, whether out of the ashes of a bursting bubble that we're seeing right now, we are going to have some companies and something actually useful come out of it. Something like, we saw with the dot-com bubble, out of which, the next Googles and Amazons came out, remains to be seen. But, one has to be cautious this late in the bull cycle with NFTs.
So no Beeple yet for you. We have the Coinbase direct listing coming up. What are your thoughts on that? Is it just bullish that this is going to be the first of many to come, do you think?
Well, first of all, it's great for the visibility of crypto so that it comes to people who are not in our yet very niche market. So it's great visibility. Second of all, it is another sign of a long streak of signs that crypto is here to stay, that regulators will impose certain restrictions on it in terms of, know your customers, anti-money laundering policies, but they're nowhere near outlawing it, which always had been in the back mind of everyone's heads. And then last but not least, it paves the way for a lot of crypto companies to follow their lead, take their playbook, and explore direct listings, SPACs, even IPOs as means of getting public and getting more investors and then drawing in more people into crypto.
Antoni Trenchev, Nexo co-founder and MD. Great to get your input from Nexo. Coming up on the show.